Hey guys, how are you? So I wanted to get on here and do just a little quick video, something that I've been thinking about this week. Well, I have mentioned this before in past videos, right? But I'm been thinking a lot about this week because it's come up in different conversations that I've had. And that is, like if somebody asked you, or if somebody asked me, what would be the number one piece of marriage advice, that marriage advice or relationship advice that you would give to somebody new, or somebody like younger than you, like somebody newer, or at least lasting advice, like what would you say, and I was thinking about this particular thing because I think this is what my number one piece of advice that I would personally give. And of course this is coming from somebody who just have seen a successful marriage growing up, but also had a successful marriage to my late husband who passed, and now coming off of other relationships that I didn't see red flags or different things, whatever, that was not as successful per se, but was good for me because I had to take the L on that one, right? But the number one thing that I see with other people in other relationships, and talking about this all the time, and I've said this so many times before, but I think personally, if I just had to sum it up, me personally, in one sentence, is basically whatever you did to get that person initially, to get that person's attention. I'm saying person because obviously for a woman, it's going to be whatever you did to get that man's attention. And for the guys, especially for the men, especially for me personally, especially for the men, whatever you did to get that girl. And the reason why I'm saying especially for the men is if you are a masculine man, masculinity calls for action. Like, you need to be doing something, okay? Because ladies, if you're out there doing the most, trying to get somebody, you can't keep that up. Once you get that person, it's really hard to probably keep up all the same like activities and stuff that you did before, because that's just too much, right? Like, you shouldn't be doing anything really to be going after. I mean, that's just my opinion. But also, if you're a feminine energy, you're not supposed to be chasing after no man. You're supposed to let the guy find you and, kind of like whatever, prove his, manhood and all that kind of stuff, right? So this is why I say especially for the men. So whatever you did to get that girl's attention, or to get that person's attention, that female's attention, to secure her love, whatever it is that you did, right? You need to keep doing that for the rest of the relationship, okay? And you would think that this is common sense. Like, you would think that this is common sense, right? But it's clearly not common sense. It's clearly not common sense, because I see too many people who just don't do that. They get in a relationship, they get lazy. As soon as they get that girl, they get married. And I guess, females do it too. But it's basically, as soon as you get the relationship or whatever, it's like you think, oh, I can just relax now. I don't have to do anything. Or I can put more pressure on my wife and make her, cook more of my meals, or, be more pickier about my meals, or, give her more demands, and, give her more chores to do, and pop out babies or add grandbabies, stepchildren and stuff like that into the picture. And I'm going to put more on her, and I'm going to get to sit back and relax and bring home a paycheck or something like that. I mean, that's like me just talking out of personal experience, but no, actually it's the opposite. Relationships, whether you're married or not, whether you have a piece of paper or not, they need to be maintained. They need to be maintained. I don't know why anybody would think that just because you have gotten that person, it's like you're just automatically now supposed to be loyal and, not have to do anything else, because now that person, you're just going to just have automatic loyalty. And I'm a very loyal person, and I do feel there is a certain amount of automatic loyalness, like loyalty, that comes from a commitment or a committed relationship, right? But human nature, if you want to keep your relationship status where you are taken or whatever, keeping it where you are coupled up, then you need to keep the interest of the other person. It's just as simple as that. Like, whatever you did. So it's like, fellas, I'm just giving advice, like, especially to the fellas. It's like, if you started out taking that girl, to the movies, buying her flowers, talking for hours and hours and hours on the phone, or, spending hours taking a walk, going down for a walk or whatever you did, whatever you did with that girl. If you had to buy her jewelry, if you treated her like that, like you had to buy her stuff, or you started out that relationship like that, where you were always like taking her shopping or giving, whatever, okay, whatever your love language is or whatever you do, okay, and it actually piqued that girl's attention to the point where she actually decided to be committed to you or get married to you, right, or be with you in general, then you need to go ahead and, hold on. Sorry about that. Anyway, so then whatever it is that you did whatever you did, however you started spoiling that girl, like whatever you started to do to spoil that girl, okay, whatever it was that you did, that you found it easy to do because you were trying to get her attention, okay, date nights or, whatever, you need to maintain that. Okay, so I know for me personally, because I've seen this with my own two eyes with other people in other relationships, but I've also experienced this where it's like once you got me or whatever, you get lazy. It's like the laziness kicks in. It's like, oh yeah, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to maintain my body, or I don't have to, maintain, this, that, and the other, going out, spending quality time, yada, 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 right? And no, I know for me, personally, this next go around for me, whenever there is an actual next go around, and I feel that I'm interested in that person, whatever, and we decide to be committed or something like that, I'm going to be like, look, we're going to write down a piece of paper what you like about me and what I like about you. And the things that we are doing, and put the date on there, okay, that we are actually, like, well, what we like. Okay. And that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a sign and be like, look, let's not forget this right here, because regardless of what happens in a relationship, regardless of hard times, the trials, the tribulations, things come up. People get sick, people die. That's unfortunate. Y'all know my story, so I say these things openly because this is real life. Family situations happen. Jobs come and go. Things happen. You have to move. You might have to. It's just hard times, good times, right? All of that happens, and you have to be able to move through those situations, right? Sometimes, though, when those trials and tribulations are happening, it's like you are short-circuiting your brain, or your brain starts to short-circuit or whatever, and you, like, start going on autopilot, or you just totally put all that, what you might consider to be not important stuff, to the side, and you're not thinking to yourself, like, I don't need to tell my girl I love her. I don't need to call and check on her. Or, it's like all the little things that maybe you were doing before that you did very easily. It's like you're not doing them anymore, right? Because your mind might be on a particular situation or a trial or something that you're going through, right? Or moving or whatever, right? Whatever the case. But sometimes, I think especially men who can be very one-track mind, and it's like, well, I'm at work, or I'm on work mode, or I'm only on this mode, I'm doing this. Okay, and it's like, that's why I didn't, call you, take you out, tell you I love you, rub your feet, kiss you, hug you, whatever, flowers, whatever, okay? And in their mind, and I know most men will say this, like in their mind, they think they have a perfectly good excuse to go, why they've gone 3 months, 6 months, however long, with that lackluster behavior, right? It's during those times, though, it's that right there where it starts to create a crack or a weakness in relationships, because you're no longer doing the activity and displaying the interest, and there's no longer that to and fro, the back and forth, and that loving way is not happening, and you have a trial situation, good time, bad time, something that's taken your serious attention. It could be something, a hardship. It could be a serious hardship with, you know, a family member or anything, grandparents, stuff like that, you know. And it's like, if you had a cheat code, that list, let's say, that list of the things that, let's say, your wife or future wife or whatever likes, right? And if you don't have to think about it, but you can access and do those things, so you don't have to have creativity, you don't have to think to yourself, like, I have to think about this real hard or whatever. And maybe some of the things on the list you can't do because, yeah, like going to the movies, if your schedule is, you know, gotten crazy for that 2 weeks or something you're going through, whatever, you know, certain things you're not going to be able to do. But I want to make sure that she feels my love because she says she likes flowers, or she says she likes when I hug and kiss her, or when I hold her hand, or maybe for her, you know, when she rubs my back, or when, you know, she holds my hand, or when she, you know, cooks spaghetti versus, you know, rice and peas and chicken. I don't know. Okay, so whatever it is that you guys write down, there'll be things on those lists that you can easily do on a daily basis that really require like no thought, really, just the reminder to do it, right? Or money, okay? So that you can still basically put money into the love bank, into her love bank. She can do the same thing, right? Where you can do this on a regular basis, where you're not detaching or feeling emotionally detached and causing a rip or a tear or causing a crack in the relationship, right? Okay? Because it's during those times is A, when the devil gets in, and during those lack times, B, is when other people get in, or C, when you just might be thinking to yourself altogether, this person changed and I'm no longer feeling it for them, and you know, maybe I should be with somebody else. Or maybe he doesn't love me, and because I'm thinking he doesn't love me, and I'm not acting in a way because I don't feel loved, and he's not acting in a way, and he's not feeling loved, and he's not feeling respected and loved and all that. So it's like you guys are like bouncing off of each other, and it's all because maybe you're going through something at work, and also he's going through something with his mother or family, or, you know, extended family, grandparents, whatever, right? Like, so those things happen. That's just regular life. That is a part of life. But I think it would be easy, okay, if you, in advance, before trials and tribulations and things happen, you agree upon and you know those things that make you happy for each other, right? Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I've talked to many women and men, and it's always like, and you'll hear people say on videos, like, oh, guys like to be, you know, they like mystery, or, you know, you got to make men, you know, jump through hoops and, you know, be like a puzzle and everything. You can't just give it all away. Okay. First of all, if you're a real woman, okay, any woman, any female whatsoever, I can already tell you, you're going to be an onion type of a person, and you're going to have layers of emotion and things for him to learn about you. Now, if you are a boring woman and you have no style, no class, and you have learned nothing, you have no goals, no aspirations, and you're quiet and you're boring and you do nothing with your life and you have no goals or nothing, okay, then maybe you don't have as many layers as the rest of us, okay? But if you have any type of dreams, goals, hopes, desires, wishes, you know, aspirations, if you've gone to school, if you have a job, you know, you're going to have layers. Most women have layers of emotions and layers of things, layers and layers. So there's always something new to discover, okay? Even after years and years and years, especially if you have, gotten with or married to your opposite, okay? Because when you're with your opposite will always keep you mentally like tantalized or engaged, because when you deal with someone who's your opposite, it's like everything they do to you is kind of a puzzle-like-ish, because they approach life so different than you, and you approach life so different. But if you stay curious about each other's differences and things, right, there'll always be a sense of, oh, I didn't think about it like that, or I didn't think to do that, or I didn't think to say that, or blah, blah, blah. And you can respect each other's differences and things, right? So you're always going to have that kind of like, curiosity, basically. Okay. Especially if you get with your opposite. There's always going to be something new to discover about each other. Okay. So I personally, I have already tested this. Well, not this exact thing, but something similar where I created a honey-do list or list of things, that made me happy and stuff like that. I've already, in past relationships, developed and given a list of things that I liked, very simple things that didn't require money or whatever, right? Like saying a prayer, with me, before bed or just whenever or whatever, right? Simple things that I liked. Okay, I like my sleep. I don't like to be woken up. And most women are like that. But anyway, I find that, guess what? List or no list, men, they still get lazy and they still had a leaning towards a propensity towards being lazy. So giving them the cheat code, if you want to call it a cheat code, to me, didn't do anything to help their success with me. Okay, and that's because, simply put, they just still were too lazy. Didn't want to hang up my curtains for years upon years upon years, right? Like curtain rods, certain things that I would be like, okay, this is what I need done, and it's like, you still couldn't do it, even though it was on the list. Okay, so what is that? That's called lack of desire, right? There's something else that's probably going on. So what my point is saying this is that I personally don't believe that if you give the man a list of these things that you like or whatever, that is not going to hurt your chances of the relationship lasting or not. That's not it. Because if he really does love you and he actually values you, values your opinion, and the relationship is being built on something solid and for good reason, like there's no secret ulterior motives or nobody's trying to get secret life insurance out on each other to kill you later, or, some sort of weird ulterior motives like that, or take away all your control after you're in the relationship so that you have to constantly need him or whatever, all kinds of weird stuff, right? There's none of that going on. Okay. All it's going to do is, I know for me, when do you ever just not want to hear your man say, I love you? Like when? If you're a woman, when do you ever say to yourself, like, he said, I love you. I don't want to hear that right now. La, 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 la. I'm not here. Come on, no. If you tell me in the morning you love me and you tell me at night that you love me, or you tell me on the phone, like, I'm never going to be like, no, that's enough. You said it already once. I don't want to hear it anymore. Okay, I mean, maybe if you're the kind of woman that you just like don't appreciate that, but I mean, every woman that I know does, and I do. I appreciate it. So if I put that on the list and he's like, I love you, and he means it, and I can tell he means it, that's just one more thing, and one more reason why I might, if I'm married, want to, lay down with him that night. Okay, to me, that's what it does. And if you read the book Love and Respect, he talks about that. That's called putting little bits of money or making little deposits into the love bank, okay? The little deposits into the love bank. Because it's like, for men, they need to understand, you cannot go withdraw from her, the she bank, the female. You cannot withdraw from your wife's bank love tank, okay, if you have not put any money in. If you have not deposited any love money, okay? It's just as simple as that. It's like, this is not even really this is not a hard thing. This is not a hard concept. Okay? So it's like, if I'm giving you all these, like, this list of, simple things, and you do them, you actually do them, it's just going to actually make the relationship flow easier. He's going to feel like he's a winner, chicken dinner, and I'm going to feel like loved, right? And vice versa. If I know that this man likes A, B, C, and D. Now, it's like when people change up in relationships, and this is what typically happens, they change. They change. And some things you cannot grow. Some things you cannot change with that person. Some things you cannot grow with the changes. Some things you just have different value systems. This is why it's important that more than being worried about, like, not being from the same town or being from the same city or being the same race or even the same religion, it's more about, do your values line up? And your values meaning like, a big one is he wants poly, and I'm like, no, I'm not into poly anything. You know, I don't share my man. Like I'm not doing that. Or you might be a man from Afghanistan who has 4 wives, and you know, that's okay and acceptable for you. For me, that's not acceptable. Like, not only do I not want to be one of the 4 wives, I also don't want to sit in the back seat of the car. Okay. And I'm just saying this from experience. Like, literally, I know somebody like this, and his wife has to sit in the back seat. I'm not sitting in the back seat. No, first of all, I get car sickness. Okay, number one. Second of all, I like to drive a lot. I like to drive a lot because I get car sickness. Okay, but I'm not a good woman for that. I'm not a good fit for that, right? So you have different values. Me and him, this other person might have the same skin tone, or we might, you know, have other similarities, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a good fit, right? But maybe initially, when we met, we both wanted a monogamous relationship, just, you know, like single, you know, and then one of us decided to wants an open relationship or poly or whatever. That is something that is like not gonna, like, that's a change that not everybody can just be okay with changing with and being okay with that change. Like, a lot of people are gonna be like, yeah, I don't match that desire anymore, or we don't match in our desires anymore. Okay. But there's other things like that are very serious, that I learned this many years ago in a course that I took, that was taught by a marriage counselor. And she said, opposites attract is really good if you have the same values and morals, value system and moral system. Okay. Can you guys respect each other for the differences? For everything else and all the other differences, can you respect each other? Or at least agree to disagree on, you know, like how to handle disagreements and arguments and things like that. So like value system is like, a big one is like yelling and screaming, and like how you communicate differences, right? And in one household, that's how they did it. Another household, they didn't. And if you can't agree, one is going to always feel accosted every time you have an argument and one person starts yelling and throwing things or whatever. Like, that is a value system. That's a moral and a value system. That's like a moral code that is like not the same, right? It's like, that's not the same. It's not healthy either. Personally, I don't feel that screaming and yelling and hollering and stuff is, you know, good and healthy for any relationship. But if you are, in general, let's say like me, Italian and black or whatever, and you're very dramatic, you might have had a very dramatic type of speaking household, and it might be easy for you to turn up. I don't throw. I'm not gonna be throwing things and I'm yelling and screaming and getting in your face and all that. That's a very rare thing for me to do. If I do that at all, like if I had, someone would have to push me and push me all the way, or maybe I might have to go in protective mode if you know, mess with one of my babies or something like that. But for the most part, like, that's just not, I walk away. I just like, bye. I just don't deal with that type of behavior, you know. So I feel like that is disrespectful. And if I am pushed to that level, you know, anyway, and somebody's doing that to me, I just walk away. Like, that's just not how I roll, right? But I do talk very dramatic. I talk loud. I can talk a lot, right? And that can be something that's not a good fit for somebody else. But like, for example, a huge thing is like, you know, I'm a talker, and it's like, if I was to marry somebody and it's like, you know, he knows that I'm a talker, but then all of a sudden you get together in a relationship, you know, and all of a sudden after you're married or whatever, he's like, why do you have to talk so much? Do you have to keep talking? Well, that's not going to work for me. You know, that's not going to work for me to try to, if I just stop talking, I might as well not be with that person. Like, cause it's like, give me a break. Like, that's not going to change. That's a part of who I am. So if you don't like that, if that's not something that you like, or you don't feel like you can deal with that, then we're not going to be a good fit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that changes. And so when people change, when they, you know, it's like when that happens, when people change in a major way. Sorry guys, I was looking for my other brush. Anyway, I got to go. I have to head out of here. I have to go. But when people change something major like that, like after you get together, it's like, come on already. That's not how it was when you were dating. When you wanted to get me, you were listening for hours on hours and hours and hours. All of a sudden, you don't like a talker. Okay, you should have said that or came to that conclusion before we ever got together, right? It's things like that that happens typically. It's like, that's when I would want to be able to, like, let me pull out my piece of paper and be like, remember, blah, 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 blah. Remember, we discussed this. Remember when you signed this and I signed this or whatever, and we said I was always gonna, keep my feet done. Because you like when I keep my feet painted or whatever, or nice and clean, because you like to suck toes, like whatever. I'm just coming up with stuff, all right? These are things that I've heard, okay? But I'm just saying, it's like, if you know your man likes that and he has a foot thing, he has a foot fetish or whatever, then you better keep your feet at the pedicure. You better keep yourself, cleaned up or whatever, right? Like, he's not going to want you to let go on those things. But anyway, y'all get the point, right? So I personally do not see anything wrong with giving a man or giving a guy your cheat code or your list. I think, if anything, it helps people to be honest like that and to just go on ahead and do that, because, it's just going to help the relationship. It doesn't really matter, though, if the relationship is meant to be or if it's not. If it's not meant to be, that cheat code that's not going to do anything. A person can only manipulate that for so long. If he or she is going to manipulate that information that he gets from you, okay, it's only going to work so long. You cannot keep fakery and flat. You can't keep that up forever. You just can't. Like, that is like, you'll burn out. Your mask will fall eventually, and it won't work, right? So it's best to to learn these things. And here's the thing. I've been told, it's like, even though I'm mouthy and even though I'm a talkative and I have no problem sharing, I have been told many times I'm still a mystery. I've been told that, like, guys just find me that I'm still a mystery. And that's probably because my brain works like 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I have like 1,000,000 jobs and things that I want to do. I still have a lot of goals. I still have a lot of things that I'm planning on doing and coming out with sooner or later. But yeah, anyway, so I don't think that, personally, especially if you're older, especially if you're like over 30, okay? If you're under 30, you're probably out here like, yeah, I got plenty of time. I'm gonna make that person run around in circles and try to figure me out and play games, okay? But when you get older and you're over 30, especially 40s, like, you're like, yeah, I'm not trying to play no games. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. That's like going to the restaurant and you're at an Italian restaurant and they give you the menu and, like, you saw the name of the restaurant. It said Italian restaurant. It said Capone's, right? Or whatever. And you get there and you look at the menu, you're like, oh, yeah, I don't want Italian food. Never mind. You ask for a taco? No, you don't go into an Italian restaurant and ask for a taco. Like, that's stupid, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, if I have time to waste gas and waste my night and everything, then yeah, maybe I want a restaurant hop to try to figure out. Okay, but that happens when you're young. When you're older, right, you're just like, nah, let me figure out if I can actually make this person happy, if I even know let me look at this menu. Let me look at this list, okay, and see if I even like these items on the menu, right? And that would help. I mean, if the waitress is like, yeah, we don't have a menu, let's just see, you come up with a few ideas and we'll tell you if we can make it for you. You would be like, what? You would be like, you're wasting my time, lady. Like, that don't make no sense, right? It don't make no sense. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I can talk forever and ever about whatever and go around in circles. That's just something that's come up a couple times this week, and I just was like, you know what? Let me put this out again one more time. Okay, bye.